Talk about the run-up to Christmas with Jonathan Liss and Carole Malone. Jonathan, was this budget the nightmare before Christmas with the Grinch as predicted?
Absolutely not. I'm really happy. I'm really happy with this budget. And surprisingly, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by it, Miriam. I think that it did a lot for the left. Labour has finally, belatedly realised that they are losing both their right flank and their left flank. They have to take the left flank seriously. They've taken them for granted for the last year and a half. That is why I don't know what goes on inside Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' heads. I don't know how left-wing they are. What I do see is that they've lifted the two-child benefit cap, which is going to immediately lift hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty, because I don't think that any child should be responsible for what their parents do. They've increased the minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds. They've frozen rail fares.
Did you hear our conversation
fuel
with
duty?
Jonathan, can I jump in there? Did you hear the conversation we had with the guys who run 6 fish and chip shops in Southampton? Most of their 60 staff are aged between 18 and 21, so they're going to have put their pay up by 8.5%. He said they will be using fewer staff.
Andrew, I think we have to put this into...
Can we just respond to what they said? They are running the business, Jonathan. They said they will be able to afford fewer staff.
Andrew,
it's going to put people out of work.
I hear the argument.
Right.
I also say that those kids, or those 18 to 20-year-olds, are being paid less than older people, so presumably fish and chip restaurants will still need to hire people. And, you know, that people have... If you put it into perspective, this is £10 to £10.85. We are earning a lot more than that, and some of us are a lot more than that, and I think that it's very childish to begrudge people,
can we just talk about the reality of this budget here? You're talking about 10.25 and a wage.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 73% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 73% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 extra months free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
This has put 1 million pensioners into paying tax, which now means there's going to be 10 million more...
Yeah, because they're earning so much more
money.
There
are going to be 10 million pensioners paying tax
because
now.
the triple lockdown.
She's put... Yeah, the triple lock... They're going to get a 4.8% rise this year, pensioners. People who don't do any work at all, who are on benefits, are going to get a 4% pay rise. So why shouldn't the most vulnerable in our society, who have actually paid into it, get a pay rise?
I'm not saying that...
But more importantly, stop concentrating on parents who are going to have more kids they can afford, and people like all of us here are going to have to pay for them. I really resent that. That's going to put an extra £3 billion on the welfare bill every year. And for a family that has got 6 kids or more, 14 grand on top of what they already get every year. It's monstrous. Well, this budget has shafted working people and giving it to the people the jobless, the millions and millions of people who are languishing on sickness benefits, on unemployment benefits, on whatever, PIP benefits. This Labour government is rewarding people who don't work. It's actually forcing a dependency on the state. It's outrageous. This is full-blooded socialism.
Well, that's what the Telegraph says, and I'm sure that you would agree with the Telegraph, but I just don't...
Stop talking about papers. I'm talking about the reality of this budget on working people.
I don't believe that children should go hungry, no matter how...
They're not going hungry. No, they're not going hungry. Do you know what relative poverty is? Do you know what it is? Because that's what we're talking about, taking kids out of relative
Well, it goes by the by the median income.
Yes, of course it does. 60% of the median.
Right, OK.
Yes.
So what difference
that
does
is
that
not people, that is not kids starving and people going
no, I didn't use the word starving. I said that children go hungry and children do go hungry.
Queue up for food banks every week? And do you know what?
I don't think anyone should be hungry. But I think that pensions should also rise by inflation. I just don't think we should have a triple lock.
Do you know what the NHS's advice to pensioners who are cold this winter was? It made me weep yesterday. Put old towels in the cracks in the doors. That's this country's advice for pensioners who are cold.
Carole, I would support increasing the winter fuel allowance for the poorest pensioners as well.
You're saying scrap the triple lock.
I'm saying scrap the triple lock because I think you shouldn't raise it by inflation. That's one measure. I think that's completely fair. You're talking about because we don't have a triple lock for anything else.
Sorry.
One at a time.
Food inflation is now 5%. How are pensioners supposed to eat if their benefit
should rise within line with inflation. I think that's a standard principle across everything. I think wages should rise by inflation, pensions should rise by inflation, minimum wage should rise by inflation. I have a consistent approach. You're saying some people are more deserving benefits than others.
Can we go back to the 18 to 21? The Resolution Foundation, which you probably approve of, a very left-wing think tank, said the 8.5% increase for 18 to 20-year-olds is a terrible mistake because it means fewer of those young people will get jobs. Because if you've got to pay, they're going to employ older people, because which means a lot of 18 to 20 will stay on benefits or won't get a job at all. That's the Resolution Foundation saying that, Jonathan. It's a mistake and it will have the opposite effect. It won't get more of them into work. It will mean fewer of them will get a job.
I think that when you have rising inflation, it's sensible and fair to increase the minimum wage in line.
8.5%.
Well, if you look at the levels of inflation that we've had, over the last few years, I don't begrudge young people a pay rise. I see the argument. Time will tell if that happens. Forecasts, we know, are wrong sometimes. What we do have, an OBR forecast, which I'm sure you'll say is wrong, is a 1.5% growth for next year, which is more than was being expected.
Let's look at the levels of growth that she actually said was going to happen, Ms. Reeves. In 2026, it was supposed to be 1.9. It's going to go down to 1.4. It was supposed to be, in the next year, 1.8. It's now predicted at 1.6. In the following year, 1.7 down to 1.5. So every year, everything she stood up and said yesterday about how this country was going to grow was tosh.
Well, people like you have been saying that she's going to crash the economy, and clearly that hasn't happened either. We're not seeing negative growth.
We're not
seeing sort of endless recessions like we saw under David Cameron.
This doesn't really solve any long-term problems. She's avoided a crash, like you say. The black hole was smaller than it could have been.
She's done more than that, Miriam. She's also increased the fiscal head. Look, I agree with you. This was not a reforming budget. It wasn't claiming to be a reforming budget. I hope that we do see reforming budgets in the next few years. Hopefully, if these problems are sort of being solved, then she can go on to do some reforms, which I hope she does do, because clearly taxation in this country has many problems.
Why do you think that in all of these taxes she's imposed, and this is like nearly 68 billion quid worth of taxes over the past 2 years, why do you think she's not cutting down the welfare budget that's nudging 100 billion quid? Why do you think she hasn't tackled that? She's tackled everybody else.
Well, she tried to, but I don't actually think that's the right thing to do.
But she would have lost her job, so she hasn't.
Carole, Jonathan, we have to leave it there.